Hi guys, welcome back to 100% Max. So I hope you're all staying safe and well out there. So this is my match reaction for the game against Aston Villa last night at the Lincoln Financial Stadium over in Philadelphia, of course, at the Summer Series. This was the first of Newcastle United's games in the Premier League Summer Series, of course, the inaugural Premier League Summer Series, and it ended with Newcastle coming away on the end of a 3-3 draw with Aston Villa. I've got to say it was a very entertaining game. Looking at the way the game played out, it was very end to end in the game. Newcastle unfortunately had a few moments where we seemed a little bit out of it at the back, and that of course cost we in the game for the opening goal when Ollie Watkins scored the opening goal of the game. Then of course in the 11th minute of the game, Brundia of course scored the second goal in the game for Aston Villa to put Aston Villa 2-0 up in the game. And then of course on the 28th minute of the game we see War Ellie Anderson scoring, of course, to get us back into a chance of making it level in the game. A brilliant assist by Jacob Murphy, of course, to Elliot Anderson as well for him to get the goal. Fantastic goal as well by Elliot Anderson. Just absolutely fantastic past Martinez in goal for Aston Villa. Then, of course, on the 45 plus 2 minutes just before half time, we see Isak scoring, of course, the equalising goal for Newcastle, and a fantastic goal as well from Alexander Isak, of course, to get us back level before, of course, the half-time break. Then we'll come out for the second half, of course. Newcastle switched up quite a few players in the second half of the game, with Lewis Miley coming on for Tonali. We've seen Lascelles coming on for Trippier. We've seen Joe Linton coming on for Bruno. We've seen Botman coming on for Shaw. We've seen Dan Burn coming on for Elliot Anderson. Then, of course, Aston Villa had a few substitutions as well. Then we got to have a few more substitutions because the referee in the game last night wasn't the greatest. I've got to say, he was an American referee, and he was really poor. I thought there was quite a few times in the game where you could see, he should have given Newcastle a set piece in the game. There was at least two penalty shouts in the game for Newcastle last night, and they were both completely and utterly ignored, which wasn't great. And for me, they were stonewall penalty decisions. So that was a little bit annoying to see that he completely ignored them and blanked them completely. He also was having some very troubling moments where he wasn't allowing me to get the subs on when we wanted to get them all on at once. Of course, he was kicking the game off very early when we got back on for the second half. He kicked it off quite quickly. Then he had to stop play so that we could get some subs on. Then he started play again. And then, of course, when the ball went out, we managed to get a few more subs on. And then, of course, Anthony Gordon was standing on the sideline as the only Newcastle United player, still waiting to get on the field because the referee had continued on with play once again. Of course, that ended up costing we the level footing at that point when Brundia managed to score a second goal in the game for Aston Villa. Of course, on the 48th minute, then, of course, once that goal had been scored by Aston Villa and Brundia, we managed to get Anthony Gordon on the field. And then, of course, it wasn't long after that, on the 55th minute, that we seen Callum Wilson levelling it back up for Newcastle in the game, and of course scoring the last goal of the game to make it 3-3. And then, of course, there was a bunch of substitutions on Aston Villa's side. And then on the 70th minute, we got to see our brand new signing, Harvey Barnesy, coming on, of course, on the 70th minute for Matty Target. And he had a pretty good run out. I've got to say, he almost scored a goal in the game, as I just said, of course, in the previous video up on the channel. And of course, he almost got himself a goal on his debut fantastic performance by him. I've got to say, for the amount of time that he was on the field, he is going to be an absolute dream to watch this season, and he'll be even better once he gets under Eddie Howe's plan, and he gets to gel with the team a little bit more, because he's only been with the team for a little bit. He hasn't quite had the time yet to gel in as much as the likes of some of the other lads that here. Of course, Sandro Tonali's had a bit more time to gel with the team, and of course he's hit the ground running from his first game when he came in, of course. So it's going to be an interesting one. The next game, of course, we'll play is on the 27th, coming up, of course, on the Thursday, when we take on Chelsea. That's going to be at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta for that one. And of course, that is again another 5-hour difference between the UK, of course, and the United States. So that means that, of course, it will be another late kickoff here in the UK for us, watching at home, of course. So it's going to be an interesting one. See what happens with that game against Chelsea. But as for the game against Aston Villa, was a pretty decent game. Once you put, of course, aside the referees' decisions and, of course, these assistant refs in the game as well, they were pretty dodgy. But at the end of the day, the most important thing here is that it is a pre-season tournament. It would be nice to win the cup, and I think we will have a chance of possibly winning the cup when you look at the other teams around with. We showed some fantastic stuff yesterday, and that wasn't even with full on first team. We did have a mix in the first half, and then a mix in the second half of first team and youngsters. So once we get a proper full on first team out there, then we'll get to see what happens with the games moving forward. But if we can win it, then that will be great. If not, then at the end of the day, the only thing that really matters is getting the players' fitness up heading into this season, with being back in the Champions League for the first time. Of course, it's going to be an interesting one to see how Eddie Howe will approach this season. And of course, we did see Eddie Howe made some formation changes for this game against Aston Villa as well. I think he was trying not to give away tactics ahead of the season, with, of course, we're playing against Aston Villa first in to kick off the season. So I think that was one of the tactics that Eddie Howe was doing yesterday. But we'll see, of course, moving forward, how things will go. But let us know your thoughts anyway down in the comments below. This has been the match reaction for the game against Aston Villa, of course, over at the Lincoln Financial Stadium in Philadelphia. And as always, remember to like, share, subscribe to the channel. If you want to become a member of the channel, it's only $1.99 a month. And of course, you get perks of a shout out once a month on the channel. And of course, you get priority reply to your comments on future videos going forward, as long as you are a member. And if you don't want to go down the membership route, then of course, if you want to donate to the channel, then that would be also appreciated. Of course, any donations are welcome. And until next time, remember to hit like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Or whether that's